Gentlemen, welcome to the ultimate debate. Vampire the Masquerade of Bloodlines 2. Honestly, where do we even start with this one? An absolute disaster for the ages. Went through development hell. Day 1 DLC $30, a new low honestly even for Paradox. Pre-orders collapsed. They removed Day 1 DLC by the way, so I guess that there's a minimum of win right there. The game is clearly as woke as honestly it gets. The developers are banning people who say things that they don't like, and it's not because they're being mean or whatever, it's because wrong political and ideological leanings. That's always gonna end well. Your protagonist's name is Fire. Fire. It's Fire. It's Fire. Absolute skin suit of a game. It's just pretty much pretending to be Bloodlines 2. In reality, obviously, it's just skin walking. This game has nothing to do with Bloodlines 2. It's an absolute lie. Oh boy. This is easily gonna be one of the worst games of the year. Maybe even worse than Borderlands 4. Time will decide. At this point, by the way, with what people are saying, man, it's really bad. Previously, I thought that this could at least be a cool vampire power fantasy game, but it's not. The combat, people are saying now, a lot seems awkward and dull, which I had my suspicions in the beginning trailers, when you saw combat. But now people are saying it en masse, and that's kind of sus to say the least. Doesn't look good.
What the hell am I looking at here? Which one is supposed to be the dude?
You've been banned for hate speech.
Well, that's fine, but I still don't know what the hell I'm looking at.
What is up, space pirates? This is your admiral, the hilariously heinous Dr. Disaster, and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 comes from a popular IP, and it's a sequel to a much-loved game. But on the other hand, this title has taken way too long to make. It sounds like development.
It went through absolute development hell like 3 times or something like that. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, considering development hell usually means very bad things, hey, it looks as good as it could. Not saying that that's actually like good, but hey, it looks better than expected after this many development hells. And, well, at this point, needless to say, well, my opinion was never actually that this is going to succeed. Even if it's a relatively fun game, I said that this is going to be an absolute financial failure. And, well, it seems like it is. Because, have we ever even seen anyone remove Day 1 DLC because of backlash? No. It's just because people stopped their pre-orders. They had to actually refund people because of the absolute bait and switch. It's insane. This is one of the greatest, biggest disaster stories that we have.
Was a nightmare.
I've slipped into the 7th circle of hell.
Sure, if you look on Steam right now, you will see that the game has a pretty large number of followers, but this game has also been announced for a long
In top selling 200. Ooh, that's bad. Oof.
time. In fact, if you look at the Steam charts, you will see that this game had people playtesting it 8 frickin' years ago, meaning that it's been in at least a semi-playable state for almost a decade. But interest in
Wait, what? When I went in Steam DB, I didn't see that.
This game from consumers appears a bit tepid, as it dropped out of the top 150 bestsellers on Steam down to 235. There was a controversy a few weeks back where we learned that 2 of the 6 playable clans in the game were going to be locked behind a Day 1 DLC.
2 of probably the most popular clans. Toreador is definitely one of the most popular clans.
$30 paywall, and people were rightfully pissed.
You greedy dirtbag!
However, just the other day, it was announced that they have now added everything to the base game, and I expected that sales of Bloodlines 2 would climb.
As someone said in the comments of my last video, they do DLC. Probably, honestly, probably. There's no way. This this thing needs to sponge up money, and that's pretty obvious considering how long it took to develop and everything else. It's really bad.
But it hasn't done it. In fact, as I showed you a minute ago, its place on the Steam top sellers list has actually fallen quite a bit in recent days, and I expect that the lackluster interest has to do with two things. Number one, the gender ambiguous characters have...
Oh, it's not just the gender, and by the way, this is supposed to be the female. You can tell because, well, I can tell because I know that this is just the right answer. I actually couldn't tell before we knew the right answer that this is the female. Yay! 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 Yes. And I mean, this is not the only evoke shit about this game, probably. This is just like kind of the most obvious red herring that we have.
Driven away people who don't care for pandering to the they-them crowd.
That ain't no woman. It's a man.
And number two, it sounds like the production hell that this game was in hasn't amounted to a fun game. In fact, it sounds disjointed as heck. Polygon here even refers to it as two games stapled together, and if even the game journalists are warning us that a AAA game has problems, then you just know that it's bad. But that doesn't stop them from trying their damnedest to push you into buying it in a headline that is an...
Bloodlines 2 is richly authentic. Well, I'm sure that's actually true considering how much of a mess that is. When you mess things up to this degree, I mean, there's no other choice but to be authentic at some point, okay? Intriguingly overwritten. Well, that's a strange way to say fucking woke shit. Dripping with a drooling atmosphere. Yes, I also saw the completely lame streets filled with absolutely nothing, by the way. Also, has anyone actually talked about how the game looks? The streets look completely empty, lifeless, and, you know, just ambient. In not the best ways, and not very fun to play, unfortunately. Oof.
Absolute indictment of how the game journalists...
Well, we already considered that there's not a lot of story in this game in the first place. But now there's also not a lot of combat, it seems, at least good combat. Dude, this is such a... Why can't we just have a vampire power fantasy game? Is that too much to ask? I just want a vampire power fantasy game, okay? That's all I want. That's all I ask. Is that too much? Is it wrong for me to just ask for prototype Oba vampire? Second son, infamous, blah blah blah, but vampire? Is it really that much? Also, my nose is itchy. Goddamn, there's like a hair or something there. In any case, is it too much? I don't think it's too much. Do you not want a Vampire Power Fantasy game? We have never really had a true Vampire Power Fantasy game. Every time it's a Vampire Power Fantasy, it's some kind of Van Helsing bullshit. And it doesn't work out too well now, does it? And by the way, boys, thank you for watching this video. I would like to remind everyone, if you would be so kind to please subscribe, that would, well, not subscribe, but also subscribe, I guess. But like the video and hype it up, and if you're on a mobile device, that helps me immensely, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And if you think these things are important, the discussions that we're having here, do it, because that guarantees that more people will see this video. 100%. Liking the video is going to make more people see it. So thank you.
Operate these days. PC Gamer, one of the worst rags in the industry, tells us that Bloodlines 2 is richly authentic, intriguing.
PC game, dude, I remember laughing about Diablo 4 articles on PC Gamer. They did two amazing articles, how Path of Exile 2 is first in Diablo 4, and how Path of Exile 4's drip, Path of Exile 2's drip is worse than Diablo 4. Like, get a break. These people are insane. They're just a waste of oxygen.
Written, dripping with brooding atmosphere.
Hey, That's pretty good.
but it isn't very fun to play, which I don't know about you, but as someone who actually plays games for, the actual game, it seems to me that they should have led with that. But sales over in the retail spaces don't sound like they're very good, as I will show you in a few minutes here. Nobody is being fooled into buying this game. Gamers are looking at this turd and saying,
No thanks, bro.
No thanks, bro. Damn, that's long.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you smack the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We have been
Bro, I already did that.
gathering up a lot of new space pirates into our crew, so it's already time to ask this question again.
How many assholes?
But alrighty, let's take a look at what's going on with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 and how they're doing in sales thus far. We are exactly a month removed from the game's release date, so I thought it would be interesting to see how it's performing compared to other games in retail sales. For anyone who doesn't know, I used to own my own store which sold video games, and I still have several contacts in retail spaces, people who run nearly 50 game stores among them, and who have access to the sales data of those stores. They often share pre-order data with me so that we can see how well a game is doing compared to its contemporaries.
Needless to say, Masquerade's not doing well, boys, okay? Needless to say, that's absolutely how it is. This, again, even if the game turns out to be fun, there's no world where it actually succeeds in sales.
And Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 does not appear to be doing very well at all.
Even without the Day 1 DLC, that's just too much of a mess.
Those almost 50 stores,
The fact that the fact that you can't do anything almost as in Bloodlines 1, and the fact that I think they changed it, I'm not sure, but the last time I heard, but I'm assuming they changed it by now, is that if you're feeding on a random pedestrian, you can't even kill them. You have no option to just, end them. You only feed and then you let go of them, which is insane.
they are currently sitting at 15 pre-orders for the game. And keep in mind, that is not 15 orders per store or anything like that. It's 15 pre-orders in total. Now, to give this some context, last year, when Dragon Age the Veilguard came out, when it was...
Physical copies make roughly like 10 to 20% of the total amount. So if a big chain is saying that, oh, we only got like 15 pre-orders in total, you need to understand that no one's buying this game. Okay? People being in like a Steam group for it is different than buying a game.
30 days removed from its release, that game had 31 pre-orders. And I like to use Dragon Age as a baseline comparison because we all know that it is a consummate example of a AAA failure. In contrast to that, to give an example of what it looks like when a game ends up selling fairly well, in these same stores last year when Warhammer Space Marine 2 was 30 days out from its release...
Oh, I'm gonna bet this is... So, I don't know about his network exactly who they are, but it's not the biggest stores in the country. 50 stores is a lot, but it's not like, this is the biggest thing in the world. So there's differences. So I'm gonna assume Space Marine was like 1,000 or 2,000 pre-orders in that case.
That game had sold 142 copies in these same stores. So
oh wow, that's okay. Wow, that is insane. So these are not big stores at all. Okay, nice to know. So yeah, Vampire the Masquerade is not doing that horribly, but it's doing extremely poorly. So, what's the estimate that we're putting at for Vampire the Masquerade on release? 15 to 25 K peak players? Maybe? Maybe less than 10? It's hard to say because let's look at Space Marine. Let's refresh. Was it like 200k people? Warhammer 40k Space Marine Steam DB. Let me check real quick. Yeah, on release, Warhammer 40k had 225 peak players 12 months ago, which is very good, And Bloodlines is getting roughly 8 times now. 7 times less. So that potentially best case scenario, if we average these numbers to Space Marine by the sales that he said from his contacts, maybe 31,200-ish players are gonna be peak playing Bloodlines too, which seems a little bit too much, honestly, because Space Marine was hyped. Space Marine was a big thing when it came out. So again, yeah, maybe, yeah, in the ballpark of 10 to 30k seems a reasonable estimate for how many people are gonna play Bloodlines 2 on release.
Clear distinction between what a game that sells well looks like versus a game that ends up selling like shit. Bloodline 2 is currently trending well behind the likes of the Veilguard, which is not a good look for them at all. Just like Dragon Age the Veilguard, this is a game that has taken a hell of a long time to make. The initial release date was supposed to be all the way back in 2020.
Oh no, wait, was that 100 copies? No. If it's less than Veilguard... No, yeah, like 10 to 30k. 30k does seem steep. So, yeah, but I mean, 10k does seem reasonable, right? To have a peak player base, because it's a Vampire the Masquerade game, and we do not have a lot of them. So there's going to be a lot of people just playing it out of desperation, honestly.
Ripe's sake. But it didn't happen, and here we are, 5 years later, and it's just now going to be coming out. And you have to think that the development costs of this thing have skyrocketed over the last half a decade. And just like with Dragon Age the Veilguard, they basically changed this game that they were making right in the middle of development. And those aren't the only similarities. Just like with Dragon Age the Veilguard, as I showed you before, the corporate media is trying their damnedest to make this game sound like something you should buy, even though it likely isn't even very good. Look at how much content that you have to read in this PC Gamer article before they start telling you that actually the game sucks. You've got all of this to read through, and then all of this, and then finally, they get to the point. It says here, so far so good for the most part. But while all this authentic World of Darkness flavor goes a long way, where the game has me much less convinced is when the talking stops and the action starts. Bloodlines 2's combat is too awkward to be empowering. Fights against ghouls and lesser vampires almost always saw me badly outnumbered, and with the first-person perspective limiting my peripheral vision, the result was that my respected elder vampire spent rather a lot of time getting sucker punched in the back of the head. Unlockable bloodline powers, including everything from mind control to boiling a target's blood until they explode, go some way to evening the odds, but I never felt like they wove naturally into the rhythm of combat.
Now, admittedly, okay, there is a silver lining to this, and that silver lining is it's a game journalist. He probably can't finish the Cuphead tutorial, so there is a little bit of, you know, there's actually a high chance that the average person is going to have a better time in combat because, I mean, it's a game journalist. Anyway, that was Dr. Disaster 10 out of 10. Bye!